Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 8th of January of 2024. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates and details, but we are not going to start with missile strikes. This is the next topic. The first topic, we're going to talk about the global updates in Ukraine. To be more precise, one important event that took place today, and this event concerns Zelensky and his ambitions or his plans for the future. Today there was one person in Ukraine was interviewed. I'm talking about the Secretary of Rada of Ukraine Parliament about the national security. Obviously not the last person in Ukraine. He's not, let's say, on the top of Ukraine, but he's not the last one. He's the Secretary of the National Security Council in Ukraine Parliament. So he has some power, obviously. And he was asked about the current situation. He was interviewed by the Ukrainian newspaper, and he told that currently Zelensky is a political corpse. So, and this is for the first time since the beginning of the special operation, somebody in Ukraine, some political person in Ukraine, we're not talking about the talks in kitchens, in our bed before we go into sleep. This is the official note, official position of Ukraine Parliament. Zelensky is a political corpse. And this man told us that Zelensky currently needs to make decisions and need to make everything he needs not to save his president chair, because obviously everybody in Ukraine understands that Zelensky is not going to be a president. No, never. He's not going to be a president, never. He's not going to be re-elected even if he starts elections. And now Zelensky should do just one thing, and all his decisions should be based just on one rule: how to save Ukraine. Not how to save his president chair, but to save Ukraine. And you know that these words are very smart, because if we try to remember the special military operation, all the things that took place since the beginning of the special military operation, we would note that everything that Zelensky made or did was based on one rule: how to be the president for the next terms, how to save the power, how to be a president forever, because once again, he adopted martial law. He cancelled elections with one purpose: to save the power, to stabilize the situation, to win Russia, and to go for the second term of elections and to be a president in peaceful Ukraine or something like this. But now, starting on the 8th of January, he was told that you're a political corpse. And this is a real and tough message. And what Zelensky is going to do next, I don't know. But obviously this was just the first step, and now everybody, not just like behind your back, not just in rumors, but everybody will know Zelensky in his face that he's a political corpse, and he needs to find a solution, not how to save the president chair, but the entire Ukraine. Furthermore, today we got another important update from Ukraine, the work of air defense. Maybe Zelensky heard these words and now he started, let's say, measuring his words and things that came from the President Office and Minister of Defense. And today the Ukrainians gave another report, as they do usually every day, about the losses and about the situation with air defense and how many missiles or drones they managed to shut down during the previous day. And for the first time, probably since the beginning of the special military operation, or for at least a year and a half, the Ukrainians reported that they haven't managed to shut down more than 50% of Russian, let's say, objects, not just missiles, but drones as well. Also, they reported and noted that Ukrainians haven't managed to shut down even a single Kinzhal. And I'll remind you that the Russians launched at least 4 Kinzhals during the previous morning attack, and all of them got the target and probably managed to cause some damage, not just some damage, but significant damage to Ukrainian energy facilities, military facilities, supply roads, and so on. During the day, we were receiving some updates about the results strikes, but people in Ukraine are so afraid of doing anything right now, not just talk about elections or mobilization. The Ukrainians are even afraid of making videos on the streets, because you can make the video and somehow you can make a video of missile, and it's like a prisoner's term for you if you publish this video later. But we have some updates, and according to information we have, for example, in Khmelnytsky, this is the city that located in the western part of Ukraine, the entire industrial block was occupied and cut off from the main city by the special forces. They didn't allow anyone to enter this territory, and they didn't allow anyone to leave this territory without making some filtration. They were checking the phones, the videos, trying to understand whether this or that person made a video and sent it video or something like this. So as I understand, there was a very heavy explosion, a very heavy strike in the city, but we still haven't received any confirmation of that strike or geolocated video results. Furthermore, we got more updates and some details about the Russian strike in Kharkiv area, and according to information we have, as a result of strikes that took place this morning, the Russians managed to destroy or to damage two power plants, the power plant number 3 and Zmeyovskaya power plant. So two power plants that Ukrainians were using to supply their military factories inside of Kharkiv. Significant damage, obviously. Furthermore, we got a lot of details from Kryvyi Rog, and probably according to the concentration of updates and geolocations, Kryvyi Rog, by the way, Kryvyi Rog is the homeland of Zelensky, president of Ukraine, was attacked massively. The Russians destroyed one mall, a very big mall that Ukrainians, the warehouses of that mall, the Ukrainians were using to produce for drone production, but this building was destroyed, obviously reduced to ruins. Also, the Russians, as you can see, were attacking not like at 6 or 5 a.m. They were attacking at 8-9 p.m. at the time when people goes to work, trying to destroy not just building but also to destroy the Ukrainian, let's say, engineering, IT, intelligence brains of people, engineers who can know how to produce, know how to do their job, and something like this. Furthermore, we got update that some blocks of Kryvyi Rog was out of electricity. There was a blackout, and we got another video, not video but footage of destroyed railways. According to the author of this video, of this photo, these railways were damaged or destroyed somewhere in Kryvyi Rog as a result of another missile strike. Some people start saying that the Russians start destroying railways, but according to my understanding, I think that was just maybe the Russians missed the target. They would try to get something else, or maybe this is the work of air defense, because Zelensky, Ukrainians confirmed that they managed to shut down a few drones, and maybe this is like the fell missile of air defense that made this damage to the logistic infrastructure of the city. Anyway, the Ukrainians were damaged heavily on the beginning of this year, and now on the 8th of January the Russians continue attacking, and obviously the Russians will continue and will attack Ukraine even more. Furthermore, we got very interesting details about the air defense structure, very interesting update we received from the Ukrainians. On this screen, for example, you can see the monitor or the laptop or computer of some Ukrainian man who is responsible for air defense, or at least who has access to air defense, who can give us understanding how the entire Ukraine air defense work. As you can see, according to this map, Ukraine is split into 4 parts, 4 regions, and Ukrainians, this is blue lines, this is the borders of every single region. Now we know that Ukrainians have the Western air defense sector, Central air defense sector, Eastern air defense sector, and Southern air defense sector. We have a lot of icons. Red icons is Russian missiles, drones, everything that flies. We have pink dots. Pink dots, according to this author, is the airfields or the areas that aircrafts and anybody can use to, let's say, to send the aircrafts to the sky or something like this. And there is another important dots, blue dots, and if you take a look at this map, you might not find these blue dots from the first, let's say, node from the first time. But if you take a look at the western part of Ukraine, we can calculate 1, 2, 3, 4 blue dots in the western part, and this is Ukraine aircrafts. So a lot of very interesting updates, information we can get from this map, and the most important is that the Ukrainians do have possibilities to fly above their territory, and mainly they can do this just in the western part of Ukraine. And the Ukrainians are always in the sky in this area, and they're just going down to get more fuel, and then they're going up once again. And the main purpose of these tactics that they're flying, the Russians can't get them from within the distance, because the Ukrainians have time to go down and to hide their aircrafts on some airfields or something like this. But when you're always in the sky, you can always turn a little bit to the right to fly another 200 kilometers in direction of, let's say, Kherson to launch storm shadows and to run away as fast as possible. So this is the tactics and this is the situation in Ukraine air defense. Just the western part, more or less protected by the Patriots, maybe by IRIS-T, maybe by NATO air defense, and this is the only area where the Ukrainians can fly in the sky with their Su-24 or Su-27. At least when talking about more or less safe position. Now we are moving to the situation on the ground because we have a lot of very interesting updates, and first we're going to talk, let's go step by step. When talking about Kupiansk direction, we have no changes in this area, just one update how the Russians managed to discover another Ukrainian Leopard, and as a result of few FPV drone strikes that Leopard was damaged. But when talking about this video, we can't say for sure whether that Leopard was destroyed. The Russians attacked this Leopard, but they haven't destroyed it according to geolocations we have. So just the video to confirm some positions of both sides. When talking about Liman, the Russians published the video of their offensive operation from Chervonopopovka in direction of Zhiribets River. On this video we can see the Russian armored vehicles, armored fists were attacking the Ukrainian positions. As a result of that attack they managed to capture the territory, the land their infantry, so everything went well according to this video. So as we understand, and I'll remind you a little bit that during the previous days the Russians managed to penetrate the Ukrainian defense belt and to capture significant territory to the west of Chervonopopovka. Now, as I understand, the Russians are trying to attack and to cut the salient small artillery pocket that lays between Plasyanka and let's say this Tarskoye salient. I'm talking about this territory. So currently this is the main Russian focus, and obviously the next weeks they're going to attack just this territory, trying to cut this area and to establish control over every single tree line and field that located to the right of this white line. So this is the main Russian focus. They need to short the front line to reduce the number of forces, and then they will be able to start offensive operation in direction of Zhiribets River. Now we are moving to the south in direction of Bakhmut-Artyomovsk. As we discussed, the Russians continue their offensive operation in direction of Popovo Forest. During the previous day we haven't received anything new, just attacks, regular attacks in this direction. No updates from Grigorovka, Bogdanovka. Probably the Russians took a small operational pause due to the weather conditions. The temperature is very low, minus 20 on the ground, so it's not very comfortable weather to do anything. The important thing we got is the Russian improvement of Russian positions in the vicinity of Klishchiivka. Another stronghold was captured, another 3 lines were captured by the Russians. Now we are moving to Avdiivka area. Before Avdiivka, once again, another video published from Klishchiivka. From this angle, we can see what left from the village. As you can see, the situation in Klishchiivka is much worse in comparison with Maryinka, because there is no difference between Maryinka and Klishchiivka when talking about the things, the percentage that left from the city, from the villages. But when talking about Maryinka, the village was have been ruining for the previous 10 years, and Klishchiivka turned into dust for just 3 or 5 months of clashes. So this is the situation in the village. Now we are moving to Avdiivka, and we have some interesting updates. The Ukrainians attacked the Russian positions in this fortification belt, this stronghold, with FPV drones, which confirms the Russian presence and that they managed to dig in deeper, and now they're trying to find a solution, the Russians, how to improve the foothold in different directions, to the west, to the northwest, and to the north in direction of Novomykhailivka. For now, no changes on the ground, just the process of FPV drone strikes. Interesting update is coming from the area of the railways. According to information we have, the Russians managed to stabilize the front line along this area. Probably they have some positions in Stepova, or let's say on the Ukrainian side of the railways, but the most important that they managed to dig in as much as possible deeper along the railways. The Ukrainians tried to counterattack the Russians. On this video we see the Ukrainian FPV drone was attacking the Russian tank, but after 3 or 4 strikes the Ukrainians haven't managed to deal even a single small damage to tank, and basically nothing happened. So this area is under complete Russian control, and this is the main let's say goal and the main benefit that the Russians managed to achieve as a result of clashes during the previous days. Furthermore, we see some activation of Russian forces on the southern part of Avdiivka. We got another geolocated video of artillery bombings of the southern part of the stronghold. This is very important video, and the main important thing that we need to note is the buildings. As you can see, the buildings in this area weren't damaged during the previous phase of the special military operation, which means that there are a lot of job to do for the Russians if they want to penetrate, because every single building in this area is a stronghold for the Ukrainians. So there are lots of things, and I would not expect any active clashes from the Russian side for the next maybe even months, because too many buildings. Probably the Russians will wait for some certain progress on the northern direction. According to some mappers, the Russians continue advancing along these three lines. So for now, that the situation is like this, looks like this. We have some updates from Orlyanka Severnaya line. Today the Russians published the video of FPV drone strike to in the south of Tonynka. This area was attacked by FPV drone strike with the Russian side, which confirms that probably the Russians don't have control over this territory, and as I understand, this territory currently is located in the gray zone. Another video is coming from the line between Orlyanka-Tonynka. Russian FPV drone discovered, Russians reconnaissances discovered Russian Ukrainian armored vehicle, and as a result of FPV drone strike, that armored vehicle was destroyed. This very important video that confirms some certain Russian control over the supply roads that goes to Avdiivka. Every single road is under complete Russian fire control, and the losses of Ukrainian army is very big. And even if the Russians are going to keep everything as is, and if the Russians are able to hold their positions in the northern flank of Avdiivka, sooner or later the Ukrainians will be exhausted completely and will be forced to step back, of course without proper support from the Western countries. Now we are moving to the south, and we have some updates from Maryinka direction. We have a lot of geolocated things that we can use to adjust the map. The important thing is coming from the northwestern part. On this video we can see how the Russians were bombing the Ukrainian positions, and just yesterday we discussed that this territory was captured by the Russians, and now we see the Russians are bombing this area. So we can make just two conclusions. First of all, these bombings took place before the Russians entered this territory, or maybe the Ukrainians, if you remember, there was 5 FPV drone strikes at the same area the Ukrainians counted. Maybe the Russians were forced to step back, and now they try to return, but before they need to make artillery preparation. For now we're not going to adjust the map because we need to make more footage in a longer distance period of time to adjust and to change the area. Interesting updates are coming from southern part, from the to the south east of Georgievka. The video was published by the 46th Air Mobile Brigade. We will not watch this video because on this video the Ukrainians with FPV drones were attacking the Russian infantry, but this evidence this geolocated evidence shows us that the Russians managed to advance and bypass this territory. So we have right to change the color of this territory. The only thing, when as centers were discussing this video, one made a conclusion or suggestion that this progress of the Russians was made like this. So after the Russians captured the territory to the northwest of Maryinka, this sector, they sent some forces along the dam and entered this area and basically managed to dig in deeper. So this is like a small, I don't know, idea. And when talking about the military summary map, we will adjust the entire territory, because it's like logical that even if the Russians control just this territory, obviously the Ukrainians don't have possibilities to hold these three lines, and anyway, if they have some position here, they will be forced to step back. It's like there's no doubts about this. So we will keep at this, and we will adjust the map before the next video for this Russian progress. Very interesting details are coming from Novomykhailivka. We don't have, as you can see, even a single geolocated video. Probably we're gonna get some very soon. But the mappers are saying that the Russians were forced to step back from farms, from the cemetery, and from the warehouse on the southern part of Novomykhailivka. We just a few days ago, as I remember, we were talking about this area, and we discussed that the clashes in this area already been taking place for 3 months, for 3 weeks, maybe more, or even months, and the Russians haven't managed to achieve even a single progress inside of the village. and I expected that either the Russians will penetrate and enter the southern part of Novomykhailivka, or they will be forced to step back. And as you can see, the Russians withdraw their positions to the south towards more reliable defense belt, where they can't be get by the Ukrainian mortars or tanks. But before making conclusions, you need to understand that everything is according to, as I understand, there is nothing like the Russians were defeated and were forced to step back and run away from this area. No, as I understand, the Russian plan was to move to Novomykhailivka step by step, and as a result of another unexpected attack, they managed to enter the southern part to establish control over this territory. They were keeping some forces in this area for some certain period of time with one purpose: to allow the engineering forces of Russian Federation to prepare the defense belt that located a little bit to the south from Novomykhailivka within a safe distance. And while the Russian edge forces were attacking the Ukrainians in the southern part of Novomykhailivka, while the Ukrainian forces were focused on this block, the Russians were creating fortification stronghold belt to the south. And as soon as the Russians completed that stronghold, that belt, they withdraw their positions to the south and currently try to dig in deeper and to concentrate their forces in this area. Another important thing, that as soon as the Russians get this southern part of Novomykhailivka, they stop publishing any videos from this area of FAB strikes or TOS flamethrower strikes, because it was too dangerous, it was too risky to have forces in the village and to attack the same village with FAB, because there were very high chances that the Russian FAB may damage the Russian forces. So this is another reason why the Russians took a decision to step back a kilometer to the south, because they want to renew the bombings of the village to clear this area, because the Ukrainians once again collected a critical mass and concentrated forces for clashes with the Russians, and now is good time to start bombing them. And after that, they have always time to return. And obviously they will do this, but not now. Maybe they will wait for some progress on Maryinka Pobeda direction, or maybe earlier. Now we are moving to Zaporozhye area. We haven't received anything from this direction, no geolocations, probably due to the very bad weather, -22. Very cold on the ground, no progress, no clashes from both sides, no geolocations as well. When talking about Krynky, we have interesting updates. Just for the previous 24 hours, we got 4 geolocated videos of Russian FPV drone strikes against the Ukrainian drones, against the Ukrainian boats in the river. You know that the Russians probably found the case solution, the easiest case solution, how to support these tactics, how to support the certain level of Ukrainian losses, and I'm talking about FPV drone strikes against the Ukrainian boats. This is the perfect tactics. You don't need to use FABs, you don't need to risk with your pilots, you don't need to use TOS flamethrower system that can be also attacked by the drones, you don't need to use multi-round rocket system that attack on fields, on space, on square, but they're not so accurate. The best solution for the Russians is to establish complete control over the rivers and to destroy or at least damage every single boat. Even if the boat was damaged and the crew managed to survive, nobody can say what is going to be next with them when they enter the cold Dnieper and left the river when the temperature is -22. So I'm just trying to say that the situation is completely comfortable for the Russians. Obviously, this Krynky foothold will be discovered and discussed in the future after the special military operation ends. And this is exactly the things that the Council of Parliament National Security, the Secretary of the Council of National Security in Parliament was talking about. Krynky, and the situation is in Krynky, is the decisions that Zelensky made not for saving Ukraine, but for saving his president chair, to show some progress, that we have some victories, to get military aid, to continue war, to win at the end. Because if he was making decision based on the law that he needs to save Ukraine and he's not going to be president anymore in any case, he would never use this foothold, and he would never send Ukrainian soldiers of the most powerful brigades like 35th, 36th, 37th and 38th to the certain deaths. It's one-way ticket, and he obviously understands this. So this is exactly what that man was talking about. And this is the situation on this area. And that's it for today. Military Summer channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.